Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be doing some more Marlin gameplay. But before we get into that, I wanted to just give a quick shout out that I was featured on the League That Means Nothing for the the fourth League That Means Nothing for round one. I'm playing Reinar into Vincent, and if you want to see some expert Reinar piloting, just on the level of like Eugene C and some of the best Reinars on the scene, feel free to watch this game because I think it's one of my better performances. On that note, we're going to be playing a little bit more Marlin. So I think my first Marlin deck was like fine. I think that there are a couple things that I found to be kind of problematic with the list, and we'll kind of talk about that in a second. But I wanted to kind of give it another shot today, specifically with a kind of change in equipment and also kind of a change in a couple of the game plans. So the first card that I want to try out today is Skullbone Crosswrap. Now, I think that in the previous video, I was mainly using Skullbone Crosswrap for AB, not using it like the activated ability like a ton. So I wanted to try to actually like main deck the ability because the ability is actually very strong. What you can basically do with this ability is like you can fix like your gold draws, so like you can guarantee you draw blue, guarantee you draw like a buff. Like you basically get a lot of information out of Skullbone Crosswrap, and the extra block one is obviously nice as well. Just a pretty solid piece of equipment in general for Marlin. So I wanted to kind of try it out as like a main deck piece of equipment instead of like a cyber piece of equipment. And then for the main deck, we're trying out a couple new things. So I was originally like pretty down on Gold the Tip, and I think I still kind of am because it's like I don't know, it's just a very awkward card sometimes because you like the way that you get value out of this card. Either you're playing it as a yellow 0 for 3 buff, which is like fine, but there are probably like better buff effects in the game. But the effect of if there's a yellow face up in your arsenal, like the ability to generate gold if you like absolutely need to is like sometimes maybe just relevant when you're not having like a ton of like super strong hands. So I wanted to try this out in the main deck again. I think it's like a little bit awkward sometimes. Like you sometimes I think just need this for like a little bit of extra gold generation, which I think is kind of what the purpose of this card is. And then I think I've changed up the buffs in the board a little bit. So I think I was on Seek and Destroy, and I don't think Seek and Destroy is like all that powerful and effective in Marlin. It's like fine, but not like super great. So we're adding the take hims for a little bit of consistency. And then I think I like went down on like Pathing Felix up on like some Murderous Rebels because I think Murderous Rebel is actually like surprisingly a good card, especially if you're running Crosswrap, because you just basically get a lot of fixing. Like you can Skullbone Crosswrap, like turn that like Murderous Rebel face up, play it from Arsenal, and then you get the full like 0 for 3 a lot of the time. And then for the board, I've kind of changed up a couple things. So Conquer the High Seas has been a card that I don't think has been performing a ton in my practice. Like I don't think you really need more than 2 of this card. Like the third one feels a little bit redundant, and like the kind of strongest way you can play this card is like Conquer the High Seas into like 3 oak or something. So that way you're doing like something like 8 into 8 or like 8 into 10, and that's like a pretty powerful play. But like outside of like those turns where you like get to do Conqueror into something else, it's like very clunky. So I wanted to kind of like trim down on this, especially since it's not like the same effect as CNC, right? Like your opponent can still play like D-Reacts into that, and especially into Marlin, like D-Reacts are quite powerful regardless, right? So like the effect is actually, I don't think that strong, but it's still probably good as a 2 of. And the last package I want to try out here is the Increase the Tension and Release the Tension package. So this is kind of my idea for Earth Heroes. One of the notable things about this deck is like there's a lot of overpower, so overpower does not work incredibly well against decks that are running a ton of D-React. So this is kind of a mini like 5-card hate package to try to deal with kind of more defensive like Earth decks and everything else, because I think that Earth is going to be like a decent part of the meta, especially like Verdance. So the increase in releases are trying to help with that a little bit. So we might not need into Verdance, like maybe not like the full like increase attention, but it is kind of like a cute little package to run. I think that like these cards are very clunky because the one costing increased attention is fine, but the 0 cost and release is a little bit better. And the goal with these cards is basically to get your opponent to like play in an efficient way. So like we get them like stranded with like D-React in Arsenal, or we get them stranded with like a bunch of D-Reacts in hand and they have to like IP with it. That's kind of like the rough idea with this package. I don't know if this stays in here. Like I think that there are a couple other cards that you can probably replace, like CNC is probably reasonable. I do think that like laces are probably fine. Maybe you want like a 4th Conqueror, but this is kind of like the kind of like minor cuts I'm making just to kind of make room for that. And I still like the Dark Pit traps a lot, especially in the assassin matchup. I don't know if we actually like need it though, but it does also help into like Syndra because you can like stop mass triggers and stuff. And yeah, I think the deck is mostly the same. We're kind of just adjusting a couple things here and there. All right, well, I think that's going to be the deck list for today. Let's go ahead and get into some games. All right, it's playing against a Verdance, which will give us the opportunity to kind of test out our little Verdance package here. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the increase and release the tensions, and then also bring in the triple Donnie. What do we want to cut into this matchup? Trying to think here. Probably, maybe don't. The King Krakens are actually probably better than the King Sharks are probably better than the King Krakens a lot of the time. So maybe we cut down on just a little bit of our red buffs. I could also see like cutting a buff arrow here or something, but I think this might work out fine. So let's go ahead and try it like this. There's also maybe an argument to trying to use the functional Spell Void quiver here, but I think this should be fine. Wonder how much AB you're also supposed to run in this matchup, but AB1, if they're kind of like a more attack-oriented Verdance, is kind of fine for us. So what do we want to hold on to here? I feel like Big Game Trophy Shot is maybe the best card if we're trying to just keep an arsenal here, or if we're trying to send something on the next turn. But like sending Big Game Trophy Shot kind of sucks a lot of the time. Kind of want to maybe just take a little bit here and then maybe like arsenal to increase the tension or something. And maybe we'll just cover the full portion here. I don't think I'm super attached to any of these buffs necessarily. Oh, we did actually have the opportunity to quiver there. Let's see if we would have hit, because that actually might have been a pretty big deal. Ooh, we would have actually hit a Bluefin Harpoon, so that maybe is a little bit of a mistake on my part. Let's go ahead and so we have our 3 oak. Chance of us hitting an arrow here are somewhat high, even if it's not like a harpoon arrow. So I think I'm going to release the tension and then try to draw off the 3 oak. We're getting a little bit lucky here, drawing the 3 of a kind, but we do hit a King Kraken, which is quite nice as well. So we're going to be able to pump and send that, and then we're also going to be able to put the non-direct from Arsenal clause on it. So we actually have the option to either Arsenal King Kraken or Arsenal to increase the tension. We're not guaranteed to be making gold here, so maybe it's smarter to Arsenal King Kraken here. So I think we're actually going to pitch away our Verdance tech here and just send it like this. Hopefully we can get our first gold here. That'd be quite nice in terms of fixing our future hands. But yeah, we'll save this increased attention for later in the game. Oh, and it seems like they weren't able to actually play out a direct there from Arsenal, which is quite nice. Which means that we're going to be able to take the Cadaverous Tilling. That's actually pretty good release attention there. It's playing against an Ira. We go first or second in Ira. I feel like I want to go probably second. I don't feel incredibly strongly about first or second into Ira in particular. What do we want to bring in? I feel like the Golda tips are not like incredible. Like I almost maybe want this like Conquer the High Seas plus Triple Donny package because the game does go like a little bit longer. I think I kind of like that a little bit more. I don't think we need any of our cute stuff here. I do like the Tar Pit Traps though, I think. Let's run it like this. See how it goes. Still don't know fully when you want Golda tips in. I think you want it into like very, very slow matchups where you're trying to like just generate a bunch of gold over time is kind of my guess. Like, card is just very clunky. Right, pain in the backside. Let's go ahead and start. Probably want to hold on to the port side if we can, just so we can like get a reload if we need to. And we can also like quiver if we want to as well. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and tar pit this. Seems reasonable enough. Stop any on hits. I don't know what on hits would matter. I guess we do actually get hit by amnesia, which is kind of funny. But it looks like they're just gonna come in for 8 here, which is fine. Go ahead and just throw some cards in front of it. I don't think it's worth taking 3 here to like just randomly try to fish for an arrow or whatever. And then go ahead and go back over to us. So we have a take in, which is nice. The only problem with this hand is that obviously we can't like we take aim, we can't do everything because this is a yellow. So one thing we could do is we could big game trophy shot. If we draw blue, that also doesn't help us. So maybe we're just take aim, loading this, arsenaling the big game trophy shot. Probably makes the most amount of sense. Could also port side exchange. But we at least send 7 here, which is like fine. Yeah, I don't think it's worth like we could have port side exchange, discard the big game trophy shot, and we make a gold. Reload this, and then I guess we could also like that neon hit. Maybe that's better. It might be slightly better than like 7 damage. Not sure. Real and a pain in the backside. That is a-okay with us. Alright, no harpoons here, which is a little bit awkward. But I think this is fine. Might be blocking a little bit this turn, depending on what they do. Do probably just want to stop this mass trigger if we can help it. I imagine we're probably going to want to stop the mass trigger after this chain link. So I think we're just letting this hit for 5, which is fine. Yeah, Pain in the Backside definitely a pretty solid card in like Ira. Looks like it's not like a dagger version of Ira, but they are running the Blood Splatter Vest maybe for a little bit extra resources. Right, another Pain in the Backside. So this will be our opportunity to block out the Mask on hit, which I think is worth it. Go ahead and just block with Portside Exchange. If they follow up with like Disruption like CNC or something, we can maybe just throw our hand in front of it. Oh, I wonder if they're going to be able to threaten another mass trigger. That'd be kind of scary. Right, into a sensor. Do we care about sensor? I don't think we do. The one thing we would care about is if they name specifically Big Game Trophy Shot, but that's so unlikely, right? We didn't reveal that to them anyways, so I think we're just supposed to be taking this. We might be having a little bit of a lackluster turn next turn because we only have like the drill shot and the searing shot, but we're probably going to have to just make the best of it here. All right, we'll see what they name. I think Big Game Trophy Shot is basically the only card that really hoses our entire turn. Like, I feel like there's game if they name it like anything else, basically. All right, looks like they're going to name King Shark Harpoon, which fortunately we do not have. Let's go ahead and get some cross-wrap value here. So hopefully we can kind of use this cross-wrap to fix our hand a little bit. Drill Shot, I don't think that's exactly what we want. So we can Big Game. I guess maybe we just need a 0 cost to play. It's like a little bit unfortunate. But maybe we're supposed to hold on to this. It feels so bad, though. I almost kind of want another card, but if we're guaranteeing a blue, that's like reasonable. Because then we can load, send 4. If we don't get a blue, then we're like sad. But like we're kind of sad even if we do draw this. So I almost wonder if we want to try to like fish for something better like a 3 oak, or Codex isn't even good right now either. I guess it's probably fine. Just not get greedy. Let's go ahead and then Big Game. I think we're discarding the Premeditate, which is fine. We at least get the load here. And I think we'll do the Drill Shot first. I mean, they're functionally kind of the same arrow. The one concern with this hand is that we are going off an arsenal, which means we're not getting our cross-wrap value. But I think we do just need to send a little bit of damage here. Right, seems like they're going to give us a little bit of armor. All right, let's go ahead and put the counter, I guess, on Chuko. It's probably the equipment they're most likely to want to block with. Then we'll go ahead and pass back. All right, we do find a Sunken Treasure, which is nice. The only problem with this hand is that it's kind of slow. Like, I think we maybe just need to block this turn. Like, block 2 on dagger. Maybe block 2 on dagger, depends. But like block, Arsenal, or maybe we would probably want Arsenal the King Shark. Oh, they do have an even bigger than that. This is looking like a more aggro version of Ira. Definitely a bit scary, but it does actually give us a target for Sunken Treasure that's not from our graveyard, which doesn't really matter too much. I think we don't really care about the elves in our graveyard very extensively. Right, they are getting a blue Soul Beast Strike, which is kind of fine. Looks like they might be going for what's that card called? The dual threat or whatever. If that's the case, we probably just don't even want to block here. Because I imagine they're going to want to like try to close the chain here, which means that their mask is going to be whatever. Yep, so there's dual threats. So it's going to be this into Soulbead Strike. And the Soulbead Strike will be coming in for 6. So I guess this actually works out kind of fine. We're going to take a damage here, but I think that's kind of okay just to take a little bit of setup here. So we'll sunk in the dual threat, I guess. I don't think it really matters. Get our first little piece of gold, which is quite nice. And then we can cover 6 on the remainder arsenal and just pass back. Oh, it looks like they have an Easter egg instead. I think the plan is still the same. Just block arsenal. Take 4 here, which is whatever. When they're not getting a mass trigger, so we don't really care. I think we just need to basically take a setup turn and try to get some tempo. Maybe hope they kind of like brick on some of the reacts they're running. I think this kind of works out okay. 3 Oak is very nice, and the Tar Pit as well. So I think this is going to be the hand that we're going to try to convert off of. So coming in for 1, Warmonger's pitch is a little bit scary. I almost wonder if they're going to try, like if they have like maybe a second one in hand or something. That would probably be worst case scenario, but we do have a hand that actually kind of plays into that. I think if I was a better Marlynn player, one thing I would try to do into decks that are trying to run Warmongers is try to arsenal attacks more. All right, CNC for 7 is rough. We did actually have the opportunity to like dagger there, but I kind of expected them to throw at least one more dagger. So this is actually pretty good from our opponent. So one option we have is we could block 6 or 7 here and then pitch the Tar Pit Trap and then just send a King Shark. I do think King Shark is like one of the better harpoons to send against Marlynn, so it might be worth giving our 1 block and the gold baited hook to actually send that. We are pitching the Tar Pit Trap, which is like a little bit awkward, but it's fine to redraw into later. A little bit terrified that Ira randomly running Lunging Press there, but pretty unlikely. All right, let's go ahead and use our Skullbone Crosswrap to opt here first so that we can kind of sculpt our hand a little bit. Find a buff off the top. We can actually, okay, maybe not that buff. One thing I was thinking about is we can maybe like pop gold, and if we could see like a 0 cost buff, then we can try to draw into it. Big game trophy shot. Do we want to leave that on top or bottom? It's not a bad arsenal target when we have our first gold generated. Maybe when we don't have any gold generated, it's kind of a rough arsenal target. But I think we can maybe keep on holding onto it here and then just 3 Oak and then maybe try to arsenal that card, assuming that we draw into like at least one other blue. Ooh, very rough hand. We can actually kind of make this work though. Yeah, the double Conqueror draw is a little bit unfortunate. This still works out, unfortunately, because we have Tunic Counter. And we can go ahead and just pitch these and then play out a King Shark, which hopefully will be a little bit hard for them to deal with. Yeah, definitely not the necessarily ideal 3 Oak there. Like, if we drew any blue, we basically are guaranteed to at least keep 1 card here. Maybe that was an argument for putting the big game trophy shot on the bottom, but we do run very few reds in this deck, and we've seen, how many reds have we seen? We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't feel like that was super likely. But maybe an opportunity for Crossstrap to get a bit extra value. All right, seems like they have at least 1 direct here. Let's see if they have another. All right, seems like just the 1. All right, they do have a Humble. Humble would turn off our ability to reload, so I think that has to be the pick here. Yeah, Humble is not a card I've seen in a very long time. A little bit of an unfortunate variance in there, but let's see if we can grind out some value with better hand. I don't know if this is necessarily a better hand, though. I guess we're gonna try to load like a Redfin off of this. We know they have the Bittering Thorns in hand, and then they have, what was the other card they had? They had not playing the Ruddy Locals. So I guess we do need to probably block here. Just block on the Pathing Helix. I think our turn is going to be trying to get a blue off the gold, load Redfin, pump send, and hopefully that's a little bit annoying. Alright, bittering here is fine. We blocked out the mass, so we just basically just vanilla damage. I think they had another blue in hand. Yeah, they had the blue stab wound, so X is the number of times a dagger has hit this combat chain. So this is coming in for just an extra 1. It's a 0 for 4, it's not bad. Could also just block, tip the barkeep, Arsenal Harpoon. But I kind of want to get a little bit greedy here. I think we need to be disrupting them if we want to try to stabilize this game, because they are at a pretty good life advantage based on some of our kind of variants here. All right, go ahead and crack gold. Hopefully get a blue off the top. Even a yellow would be fine. 3 oak is basically a blue. Go ahead and load the red fin. Yes, I think we're just sending the 3 oak here. All right, deny all of our load triggers. I think we're just arsenaling King Shark, or we could also arsenal the Pathing Helix. I think King Shark is maybe just the better arsenal, though. And hopefully this red fin hits. If it does, I think we're maybe in okay shape this game. Wouldn't say great shape because they have had a lot of pretty good stuff going on, but this might be able to get us back in the game. All right, so the red fin. So we'd actually deny the daggers, which is kind of funny now that we know that they have 2 even bigger than that. And if that's the case, we just take the humble again. So we might be able to kind of do pretty well, given that our opponent has a pretty awkward draw this next hand. Might have to give up our cross rep here and maybe our sea lace as well. I think this is definitely worth it. So we have to deny the block value on this. So I guess we could also give up Tunic. That maybe makes a little bit more sense because we're not going to probably get a Tunic anytime soon. I think denying the even bigger than that value here is probably worth it. Just so they're not able to play anything out on this hand. They do get to send a Flusterfist here, but if they want to make a Quicken token, they have to like do it after it hits, which I think I'm kind of fine with. And I guess the question here is like, how do we want to use like Tropal Donnie? Maybe we don't. Maybe we just like use it for gold after like Skullboning to try to draw into like a buff on our King Shark. I think that makes sense. It looks like they're not going to opt to use their even bigger than that here, which we know about. And then I think we're going to go ahead and just Skullbone cross up here just to try to get a little bit of info. So I think we're going to bottom that and hope that we draw into like a pump or something a little bit better. Let's go ahead and sack a gold, pitching riches, because we're not going to be able to use it really effectively anyways. All right, draw another King Shark, which is kind of whatever. Kind of almost feel like we can use maybe 1 more gold here. Like pitching our Seafloor Salvage. I do really just want to try to pump this for a little bit extra. I want to try to like Arsenal Codex ideally. So if that's the case, we probably can fish like 1 more time. Because it still works out even if we like brick. I don't know what a brick would be. Like I guess just another like red harpoon or something. Oh, take aim is perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and take aim. And then I think we're actually just arsenaling the King Shark instead here. So that makes sense. We'll go ahead and just pump it and send it. I think we can probably afford to throw the gold bait hook, knowing that they don't have a D-React in Arsenal. Because if they have double D-React, we're probably fine with that anyways. And we also made a gold this turn, so we're not losing it, even if they do block out. All right, just leave that as is. All right, what are we taking here? It's another bittering, so we know that the even bigger than that is an Arsenal. Humble as well. So what is their play? They can dagger, dual threats. It's actually a really good hand from them. Don't really know what the correct thing to take is here. I feel like the correct thing might just be this humble. And I think we're going to do a little bit of blocking next turn, like maybe block 1 and 2 again, just to deny the even bigger than that, and hopefully make their hand a little bit more awkward. All right, so I think it's time to give up the Skullbone here, which the 1 block here is quite nice when compared to like Crown of Dominion. you lose a little bit of tempo, but you do make up for it in the one block and the kind of additional like scry value. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and block with the Codex here, just because we're probably not gonna use it anyways. We know what their hand is, so I think this is fine. So actually, since we know they have a Bittering Thorns and a dual threat in hand, I think we're supposed to actually take the full 4 here, just to make it really awkward for them to draw off even bigger than that. So I think that's the play, and then we're going to try to block whatever the next thing is with the Sunken Treasure. It's a little bit risky, but I think this makes sense. Makes it so that it's a little bit harder for them to draw off the even bigger than that. Like if they drew like a low cost attack or something. And yeah, it seems like they maybe didn't even have anything to get there. I think this actually works out pretty well for us here. So let's, I guess, go ahead, make a little bit extra gold. We could also like sack and try to find something a little bit better to Arsenal. But I think we're probably in fine shape. Let's go ahead and just seafloor salvage and just make a little bit of extra gold. I think it's going to be a pretty tough ask to block all 10. They just need 1D react, I guess, and all their armor. I guess we're still going to go for it here. I think there's maybe a line. Maybe we were actually supposed to take the risk and try to get a pump. And then try to go a little bit further. That might have been better, depending on what their hand is. Oh, seems like they maybe didn't have a direct though, so that's kind of fortunate for us. I think we played that okay. I think that maybe there was an argument to trying to get a little bit more aggressive and just do like try to draw towards a pump. Notably, there was no pump on the top of our deck, so the gold really wouldn't have done. I guess we had 4 gold. We could have drawn towards Codex, which is fine, but like also not relevant. I don't know. I don't think we actually had that high of a chance of drawing a buff. How many buffs did we actually have? We had 1 buff here. We had another buff here, here. I guess the Murderous Rebels are also kind of buffs if you don't think about it. Like 0 for 3, kind of a little bit extra value to force cards out of hand. So I guess like we were seeing like buffs 5 cards deep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, basically like 7 buffs left in the deck or something like that. I don't think that's a super high chance, especially out of 33. So I don't know. Maybe there was actually like an argument to like also making Harpoon and like arseling it there. But I think for the most part, we played that well at like kind of a macro level. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get another one. All right, playing against a Dio here. What do we want to Dio? I've been trying to run the tar pit traps in a Dio, but I don't know if that's actually worthwhile. Like I almost think we maybe just want the Conquerors. Like it's kind of bad into Dio anyways because they run so many they run like Crown of Providence normally. But maybe it's still worth it. I don't know. They're on the play, which is pretty good. It looks like they're gonna be fact decking a little bit here. And it's not crazy here. But we can maybe try to pitch with the Quiver Rustling Leaves to try to fix it a little bit. I think we can maybe just go for a double block here. It's pretty likely that they want to play out an item on turn 1. Regardless here. Alright, give them the Murderous Rabble. And then we're either going to block with this last card or just pitch it to the Quiver. I think we can maybe get a little bit greedy with the Quiver here. If they pass. Just because, like, if they send the last attack out of this, they're not keeping an arsenal. Which is fine. Alright, we see a big game trophy shop on top. That's fine. So we get dealt, like, what, 5 damage here? I think I'm kind of okay with that. Because, again, this is basically just damage that would be going into arsenal anyways. And it seems like they didn't hit an item as well, which is pretty fortunate for us. All right, we have the big game trophy shots, but I don't... Does that actually, like, help us? I guess it helps us load, so we probably need to do it anyways. Let's go ahead and pitch our eye. Don't think the eye really matters a ton here. Could load a King Kraken. No, that doesn't work. I think we maybe just want to keep the King Kraken on top. Does that make sense? I think we want the 0 cost arrow here, right? So we want to keep the 0 cost arrow, discard Yellowfin or something. think this vaguely makes sense. So we load the Pathing Helix, we send the Pathing Helix, and then we put King Kraken into Arsenal with the Quiver is what I'm thinking. I also had the option to, I guess, send it for like a little bit of extra damage, but I don't think that is as good as getting a King Kraken Arsenal against Dio. Yeah, the eye seems just very, very solid in this deck. Yeah, I kind of feel like I do miss Dominion for some of these more kind of like aggressive matchups. Just like the ability to kind of like get a reload on demand is quite nice. But Skullbone value is pretty good as well. Alright, we're gonna decline this. And then just pop our quiver here. So we have a pretty decent setup for next turn. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to like cross wrap here, but that's fine. This hand's a little bit awkward. But we're probably not blocking here. We might be blocking a little bit here. Okay, looks like we're not going to actually pump into the Boom Grenade, which makes sense. So I think here, so we have two options. We can either gold the tip and pump and send for 13, which Dio's probably not going to be able to fully block. And that makes us a gold. Or alternatively, we can just pay 6 Arsenal the Codex of Frailty. That might be better. So let's not get greedy with the gold tip here. And I think we're also not going to throw the gold baited hook on it because they do have 6 or 7 armor plus a 3 block. So if they wanted to pop the hook, I think that would work out. Right, it seems like we got the crown, which is at least nice. So we get to take a non-attack here. It's either between the red boom grenade or the yellow boom grenade. Which one's better? I guess we like the yellow boom grenade is pitched, but this is also pitched with this hand anyways. And they also are gonna have like the Technical Foundry Heart, so I don't know how much it actually matters that we take it. I guess maybe we should go for it anyways. And just take the boom grenade because we want to be blocking out anyways. Take the pitch one to be a little bit more annoying. But I think my guess is that it's probably not gonna be annoying just given that they have Technical Foundry Heart. Yeah, we're probably gonna be looking to block a bit this turn if we can. Just because double boom grenade is probably worth it. Alright, we do get a sunken treasure here, which is nice. So I think we're gonna go ahead and just throw that in front of this. And we'll banish yellow boom grenade. I think seems fine. Just get a little bit of that extra gold generation. Yeah, it looks like we're pitching the red boom grenade here just to get a little bit extra resources for the outpace. So I guess this kind of worked out regardless, right? So we could theoretically block this. We could also just take the 4 here. I think taking the 4 is maybe reasonable. Then we have one more with Fast and Furious in hand, I think is the last card. Okay, yep. So I think that's acceptable as well. I think we just really want to keep this hand if we can help it. Yeah, I think the gun is also fine here as well. Let's not forget to cross wrap on our next turn just so we can inform our next draw. But otherwise, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. So we are going to draw off the Ponder, so we basically get the information of what we want to draw off Ponder. And Runner Codex is definitely a thing that is pretty decent, so we're going to go ahead and keep that as well. Let's go ahead and gold the tip, which notably Codex of Frailty is not an arrow, so we don't get the added benefit out of this, but we do get the added benefit of Codex of Frailty, which is quite nice. All right, grab that Kraken Harpoon. Hopefully this will be a bit disruptive to them. We are sending in for 13. So I think now is the opportunity time for us to start just threatening extra gold with the hook because we got the armor out of the way. And now we're sending in for 13 as opposed to 10. All right, go ahead and fire up the King Kraken. We get to Arsenal and other Codex, which is really nice. So this is a pretty good draw on our end. Oh, did we not activate our hook? Damn. Okay, that's unfortunate. I guess we'll go ahead and just take the spark here. So we could have had another extra gold. Again, I need to get into kind of the habit of using this card a little bit more frequently than I am. At least I identified it was a situation where we should be using it. All right, coming with a zipper hit. You can probably afford to block a little bit with sand, especially with the 3 of a kind. So I think we are going to just throw a little bit of block in front of this. That's kind of what you want to use 3 of a kind for anyways, is just getting a little bit extra block value out of your hand. So we're going to go ahead and take aim. Then 3 oak. We'll use the resources here to pump in to the arrow. So we do have to be a bit careful about how we pitch here, because we're going to be discarding one of these anyway. So we have to pitch a red here, and then we need 2 floating, so we pitch the tip the barkeep as well. Then we codex, discarding the pre-med and getting a King Kraken again. This King Kraken is actually putting in a lot of work. We actually get the opportunity to now Skullbone again here if we want to. Drill shot on top, I don't think is exactly what we're looking for, so we're gonna go ahead and filter that. And I think we're gonna remember to gold baited hook here. I think gold baited hook first, and then we're gonna send it. So they do need to cover this with at least a little bit of armor here, and then we are also going to be getting the on hit, which is quite nice. So yeah, definitely not a bad spot to be in. Sitting on a nice pile of gold here, and we also get to take the best card out of their hand. What is the best card here? It's probably Cerebellum, because we probably just don't care about Spark of Genius. We just care about the pitch more than anything, I think. And then we get a random Arsenal off our Ponder token. We definitely could get punished for putting away that drill shot, but I don't think that's that bad for us. And looks like they're going to play a Tickler Core at the top, just get a little bit of extra resources. I think that's fine, and we'll Arsenal our pre-med here. So now we're kind of set up to start vomiting out some damage with the gold here. And the Skullbone Crosswrap is going to help us try to kind of filter towards what we actually want to draw to, which are probably buffs given this hand. We just want as many buffs to kind of stack on 3 oak as possible. Right, it's coming in with the Pulse Wave. We'll go ahead and just show them the Sunken Treasure, but I don't think we're going to give it to them here. All right, they are going to go for the Spark, which is fine with us. I think if they're taking a setup turn at this point, or they're just getting Cerebellum, like it's functionally just kind of replacing itself. Assuming that there's not going to be more turns to this game after this next one. All right, another Thunder Bender coming in. We can block this like a little bit, but we also like kind of don't need to. I guess we shouldn't block with the gold baited hook because this is gets +X for every equipment, so I guess there's no real incentive to block anything here. They do have the frailty, which makes their symbiosis shot significantly worse here. All right, we are getting our action point back. Maybe just drawing a couple cards here to get some boosts off. And this is a pretty scary draw if they get another turn after this, but if this is all they're doing on the turn, I think we're kind of fine with it. Right, they've already used their DO activation, so we're safe from any boom grenade shenanigans off the top. So I think we're just going to take this and just go like 4 or 5 or whatever and just try to use as much of our hand as possible. Right, there's backup protocol, which I don't think they can use just yet. We'll take another one here. I think that's fine as well. All right, let's go ahead and Skullbone, just inform our draw here. Tip the Barkeep's not bad, but I'd rather see other cards, I think. So let's go ahead and pre-med. Start popping some gold. So go ahead and pitch our Sunken Treasure here. Draw a Bluefin Harpoon, which is okay. I think we'd rather just cycle that, because we do have so much gold that we can basically just try to draw towards another buff, and I think that basically all but guarantees the game. Like, we're probably already in a fine spot here, but I'd rather just find more powerful cards. Let's go ahead and I think we can afford like 1 or 2 more gold activations. We'll continue to not load though. Guess we can C4 salvage and make a little bit extra gold. At this point, we're kind of doing a bit of BM, but that's fine. Want to play like actually somewhat seriously. I draw a Conqueror. Ooh, that could actually be nice. So we can Conqueror off Tunic. So we need to draw like one more gold, I think. If we draw blue here, we're in business. If we don't draw blue, it's fine. So now what do we do with this hand? We play another pre-med, obviously. And then I think we Codex, pitching the Conqueror, and then three of a kind, which will basically guarantee that we're drawing into the resources we need. Maybe got a little bit greedy here. We could have also made a harpoon for what it's worth. But I think there are like a million different things we can do to kill here. So we just need to draw, what, at least like one blue here and we're fine. Yeah, if we draw exactly one blue, then we're kind of in business here. Unfortunate that we didn't get the ability to use our Command the High Seas, but that's sometimes how it works out. We also get a buff, so it kind of works out either way. I think this is a pretty good amount of damage, I'd have to say. Go ahead and throw the hook on it for good measure. And send in with a pretty big arrow coming in for 16. It's definitely not bad. And yeah, I think we basically have lethal already, but you know, gotta at least kind of play a little bit seriously in case they have like D-React or block card. I mean, it's unlikely with Dio, but that's how it works sometimes. All right, and we kind of belabored the point a little bit on the last turn, but I did want to try to just like play seriously as though if I was in like an actual like competitive game, just to see like what our kind of like max output is and like how we should be using our gold there. So I think that actually worked out pretty well. But again, we probably had the kill even if we didn't get the second pump there or whatever. All right, I think that's probably gonna wrap it up for today. So this is a little bit of a more refined, I think, version of my Marlin list that I featured the kind of first time I was playing Marlin. I think the golden tipples are still kind of I don't know. I have a soft spot for Golden Tipple, but I think that there maybe are just like better cards that we can be including, and there may be better ways to like discard Crouching Tigers or our Golden Harpoons rather, than just running Tipples and stuff like that. We have like big game trophy shot. We have like some of the like Porcelain Exchange and stuff. So there's still a little bit of that initial kind of vibe deck list in this. I think I want to maybe try to make room for the what's it called, the Crown Dominion, into more aggressive matchups. I feel like just so that we're able to kind of like have a little bit more tempo. I think that's one thing that I feel like this deck might be missing, but finding the sideboard space will have to kind of be an exercise for next time. All right, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. So thank you all for watching, and yeah, see you all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.